Hi folks, HR Funk here. I'm bringing you a video today that I've been wanting to do for a while. If you're one of my subscribers, you may have already noticed from my previous videos that I enjoy using the product Duracoat with my firearms. The thing that first caught my attention about Duracoat as a law enforcement sniper was the ability to help camouflage my firearms to help them blend with the environment. One of the things that I've noticed though with using the product is sometimes it's difficult to tell from either the Lauer Custom Weaponry website or even the catalog, and sometimes even other videos and photographs, is exactly how each Duracoat color actually matches or how closely it matches to live vegetation and the natural environment. At this point, I have a representative selection of some of the different colors and some of the different patterns that are available from Lauer on various firearms, and I'm going to put them in different places in a natural environment so that you can see sort of how the different colors blend or don't blend and how the different patterns work with a natural setting. Unfortunately, I've got a few rifles, or a few firearms I should say, that I've done over the years that now belong to other people that I don't have. So I'll try to roll in some photos and a little bit of videos from those that I put together on prior occasions, just so you can see some of those as well. Also, I've got the good old American black rifle as a standard that you'll see with the other rifles that have been Duracoated to be able to see how well the camouflage works, or maybe I should say how much different it looks than the typical standard black rifle. As I place the rifles in different settings, I'm going to do different things with them. I'm going to use some shadow to see how well some of the colors and some of the patterns work in shadow. I'm going to have them out. As you can tell, it's a very bright sunny day today, so there are going to be some places where I've got them just out in the sun, where you can see them in the grass or with other types of foliage to see how well that works. And also I'll move them into some places where there is no foliage whatsoever, where you've got just plain old dirt behind them or some other type of objects, to see how it works in that type of an environment too. Before I start to put them different places, I'm going to take a look at what we have, talk a little bit about the Duracoat colors that are on the various firearms, and just let you see what we're going to be looking at as I move them around. Okay, starting at the beginning and working my way back, I have my Remington 700P. This one is in Duracoat Woodland Camo pattern. Behind it, next up, is my DPMS SAS. This one is in Woodland Mirage Flage. Now the colors between the 700 and the SAS are actually the same exact colors. The difference is the pattern. As you can see, the pattern on the SAS is a digital camo pattern, whereas the pattern on the 700 is more the traditional woodland style pattern. Another observation about these two rifles, you can see that I have a lot more green on the 700 than I have on the SAS. The SAS is about a 50-50 mix between the woodland green and the woodland tan color. There's also some light tan in that, as well as a little bit of black. The 700 again is a lot more of the green with lesser amounts of the brown and the tan and black mixed in. Something I have always noticed about the woodland green color is it has a slight bluish hue to it, especially noticeable when you have it against natural vegetation like the grass you see now. That's one thing that you have to keep in mind when you're looking at these colors and thinking about using them for camouflage, is how well it's going to blend with the environment that you're in. At any kind of a distance, and especially with a little bit of natural vegetation or ghillie material added, I don't think that's a big consideration. However, if someone is going to be very close to where you are, you want to be matching your natural environment as closely as you can. With the SAS, that green color is muted somewhat, or the difference in the green color is muted somewhat by the use of additional tan. That kind of helps to even it out and prevent that bluish hue from being noticed quite so much. Next up is my 870. This one is also done in Woodland Digital. However, as you can see, this is closer to a 60-40 tan to green ratio as far as the colors go. There's also the light tan on this as well. I did not put any black on this. It's very easy to overpower your camouflage pattern with black, and I stayed away from it with this particular firearm. And again, we'll see just how much difference the ratios in the colors as well as the patterns make when we start to look at these side by side. Next is my Spikes Tactical AR that I did in British DPM a few weeks ago. As I mentioned in an earlier video, I really like these colors. I think they're a little bit closer to natural vegetation. And I'll be interested to see when we look at these side by side how much difference these colors and this pattern make. Okay, I'm at a distance of about 20 yards. I have the rifles, or I should say the firearms, all arrayed out in front of me there. No effort to hide them at all. I just have them in the natural environment right now to take a look at the colors and the patterns. I can tell you from looking at it just with the naked eye that the black rifle in the middle stands out like a sore thumb. Everything else is better than that. The shotgun, that's about a 60-40 tan to green, probably blends better than anything else as far as not looking like a firearm. The British DPM also breaks up very, very well, and the colors look very good. The 700 all the way to the left, with the glare and a little bit of a shadow, the outline is very visible. Same thing with the AR all the way to the right with the digital woodland pattern. That one also is in a little bit of a shadow, and the silhouette is very much visible from here. I'm going to start to walk forward, and as I walk, you'll be able to get a look at how these things come more and more into view. Again, look at that black rifle in the middle stand out, whereas the shotgun and the British DPM still very much are blending with the natural environment that they're in. And as I walk all the way up to about 5 yards here, you can see again, I think the British DPM, when I start to put this actually into some foliage, is really going to work well. So I'll move them around now, try them in a different location, and see how they look there. Okay, I moved them into a little bit different environment. I didn't make any real effort to try to hide them other than just placing them a little bit into where these plants are located. We can already see the scope on the 700, or at least the scope cover looking at us. That's pretty obvious to see. The black scope on the AR also stands out, although it looks a little bit like a shadow. And as we start to move these around, we're going to look at more and more how shadows play into this. The black rifle is extremely easy to see. The shotgun down over here, again, it's easy to see, but it also doesn't really look like a shotgun. I'm going to move over just a little bit to see the AR with the British DPM. It is blending very well. I can see it because I know to look for it. I think if I wasn't looking for it, I'd walk right past it. That green is very close to the green of the natural vegetation that it's in. I'm very impressed with the way that's blending. I'm going to move around, get a slightly different angle, and then I'm going to move forward, and as I'm moving, we're going to see how the firearms look up close in the natural vegetation. Okay, next I'm going to try to hide them just a little bit. Oh, by the way, there's that black rifle standing out like a sore thumb. Next, I'll try to hide them just a little bit and start to use a little bit of shadow and see how they do. Okay, I didn't try too hard to hide them. Mostly, I just used a nice big convenient shadow. Shadows, by the way, are very good as far as assisting you if you want to try to conceal your position. However, the thing you have to remember is shadows move during the day. You can start out well concealed in a nice big shadow, and during the course of an operation, you could completely lose your shadow and end up being fully exposed in bright sunlight. I'm going to walk forward. I can see the firearms already. I don't think they're going to come out on the video just yet. At least from what I can see, looks like it's just a big dark area. And at this point, I'm about maybe 10 yards away. The black rifle actually even blends a little bit in this area with the shadow, although it's still very much the easiest one to see of the bunch. I'm going to start to move up to the point that you can see into the shadow a little bit. There's the black rifle. Moving over, we have the shotgun. There's the AR with the British DPM. The other AR, let me move down here a little bit, this might be easier. The other AR back in there, and the 700 off to the left. Again, really not trying too hard, just trying to give you an idea of how these colors and patterns work in the shadows. Especially for all of you who work in the shadows, that might be important. How about a situation where you don't have quite so much green behind you? Maybe you're out in a little bit more exposed position. We can see with all the green on the rifle, on the 700, it stands out quite a bit against that tree stump. Moving back toward the Spikes Tactical and the 870. Again, that 870 with all the tan really seems to blend to a lot. It's absolutely not perfect to that background, but it seems to blend a little bit better yet, even than the British DPM. And again, I think it's because of that woodland tan color. Going back this way, this is probably the situation where that woodland digital blends the best, where you've got a little bit of green, a little bit of tan, and a little bit of other, or a few different other kinds of colors in the background. That seems to blend very nicely. And again, the black rifle stands out like a sore thumb. Okay, I had to do a quick camera change there. My last one was full, so we'll try this again. We've got all the firearms arrayed out in front of us. We've got the 700, the Spikes Tactical in British DPM, the 870 and the 6040 Woodland Digital, the black rifle standing out like a sore thumb, and off on the right hand side, which is very difficult to see in this setting, is the DPMS SAS that's done in the digital woodland. I'm going to start to walk forward again so that you can start to see these a little better and a little better. When I come into the shadow and the iris opens up a little bit like it's doing now, again you can see these. Look at that shotgun, if you can see it. And again, the DPMS, this is where the woodland digital shines, when you get something in the background that's got colors other than green, particularly like those dead leaves. And look at that black rifle stand out, almost glowing, if something that's black can glow. Look at the difference in the hues of green between the British DPM and the woodland green on the 700 to the left. And that's the same green as on the shotgun right there, but with the additional tan, it really tones it down and helps it to blend better. Keep that in mind if you're using the woodland camouflage pattern on anything that you're going to be Duracoating. Whoa, there's that black rifle again. And this is the last shot I'll take of these rifles. This is what you'd see if I was actually deploying with these rifles. And you can see even the ones that don't blend particularly well with the natural foliage, if you use the natural environment to your advantage, become virtually invisible. The business end of all of those firearms are pointed this way. It's a position where I would be able to take up, or a position that I would be able to move into and operate tactically if I needed to. And we'll see how close we get before you see anything. How about now? Yeah, almost on top of them. We'll go ahead and look over the top here. Start to see a little bit there of the 700. There's our black rifle. There's the shotgun, if you can see any part of it at all. There's the DPMS. And There is our Spikes Tactical in British DPM. All of them 6 inches or less inside the foliage. This was what interested me in Duracoat Camouflage to begin with, and this is the real advantage, I think, particularly for law enforcement or the military, in addition to the rust-proofing qualities. Okay, as I said at the beginning of the video, at this point I'm going to roll in a little bit of footage from a rifle that I did last year in CAD-PAT pattern. And I'm also going to put in some footage that I took from both this year's NRA annual meeting and last year's that I took at the Lauer Custom Weaponry booth to look at a few other patterns that they have available, just so you see a little bit more of what's out there. To begin with, here is the rifle itself. You can see the various colors that we have on there. We've got the light green, we've got the dark green, a little bit of black, as I said before, to give it some depth, and we've got the brown just to help break it up a little bit more and to help it blend with different foliage. As you can see, this is a digital pattern. The story with CAD-PAT is apparently it's one of the precursors to MARPAT, one of the things the Marine Corps looked at when they were looking at developing the MARPAT, but CAD-PAT did precede it. Now we can see it there in the sunlight. I'm going to go over to this side that's a little bit more in the shadow. I left just a little bit of sheen on the green of this. Reason being, if you ever look out across grass or any other kind of foliage with bright sun shining on it, it has a little bit of a sheen, and I thought this would help it blend just a little bit more. Next, we'll put it in bright sunlight. One of the things that helps it to be seen here is just the outline of the rifle. This is something, if you broke it up with some ghillie material or something like that, it would help it a little bit more. But you notice the colors are very, very close to the natural colors. What we're going to do next is actually try to hide it just a little bit. Okay, here is an environment where we've got a combination of shadows and sunlight. And I'm just going to walk forward until you can see it. There you can see the barrel starting to show up. But even there, with the shadows playing off it, to try to tell that's a rifle, I'm about, maybe 7 feet away from it right here. It's fairly difficult to see what that is. Okay.
Oh, you got it.
Yes. Okay, that's it for my video on Duracoat camouflage patterns. I hope you found it interesting and maybe even a little bit entertaining, whether you have a professional interest in camouflage or if you're just someone that enjoys being able to camouflage your firearms or someone who just enjoys using Duracoat. Other than that, take care. Until next time, good shooting. Bye-bye.